as it happens and as it matters most to you. We want to start out here on this, let's just say, rainy and soggy Monday afternoon here in Milwaukee. Not exactly the prettiest picture there with the roof open at American Family Field, but the Brewers are hoping at least the scene inside the ballpark will be pretty good tonight as they continue a homestand, opening up a series against the Houston Astros tonight with the roof open. I'm guessing that might be closed by the time we get to first pitch later tonight, right around 6:40 from the ballpark. Some of the other things that we're tracking for you here on this Monday afternoon in Wisconsin, and as I mentioned, also around the country, we take you out to, let's see, New York City, where the jury selection is underway for the federal sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the famous rapper and hip-hop mogul who has been wildly successful, also dotted by allegations of violence and much other things to be concerned about as this sex trafficking trial is supposed to begin later this week. Opening statements actually expected next week from the lawyers on both sides, but today the jury selection underway inside of that New York courtroom, and this is a live look outside of that New York City courtroom right now. Looks like they're getting some rain out there in New York City as well. And then we take you to the White House, where we are awaiting an update from President Trump. The White House has dealt with a number of things already, including the president's announcements of possible tariffs against movies made overseas, also the possible reopening of Alcatraz, the infamous prison out in the San Francisco Bay. There's a chance we could get some more on that. And on a much lighter note, we are expecting the White House to be part of an announcement planned for some time this afternoon. That would be the announcement of where the NFL draft will be in 2027, possibly right behind that famous building there, as Washington, D.C. is reportedly going to be the site of the draft. Of course, it was in Green Bay here in Wisconsin just a couple weeks ago. It's in Pittsburgh next year, and then the expected announcement from the president, Commissioner Roger Goodell, and other officials will be that the NFL draft will be coming to the nation's capital in 2027. When any of that starts, we will take you there live, but we want to start here in Milwaukee, actually down in Racine, where we are covering the news of the day with our reporter on scene right now as we bring in Durante Matthews. Durante, great to have you here with us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Wish it was for, of course, a happier story, but a serious incident that happened overnight in Racine, starting with a police chase and then a shooting. Why don't you take it away near 17th and Franklin in Racine? What is the story you're covering for us today?
Yeah, I'm covering an officer-involved shooting that happened last night here in Racine on 17th and Franklin. And right now, I just want to show you over here to my right. This is sort of the aftermath of what we're seeing right now. The fire department just pulled up maybe about 2 to 3 minutes ago, and right now they are cleaning, washing the ground. We're told this is where that shooting happened. It happened just after 11 last night near the 900 block of 17th Street. Police say they were out there for reports of a man where they were looking for a man who had been involved in a violent domestic abuse incident that happened just hours before, and just after 11 they actually located that man. But they say the man got into a vehicle and then drove away. But the man only got about a block and a half away right here at 17th and Franklin, where neighbors tell me that a man crashed into a parked car right here. You can actually see the tire markings on the ground from where that crash happened. And police say after this crash, the man exited that vehicle and then began to raise a handgun. And police say once the man started to raise the handgun, an officer shot the suspect, and then the suspect ended up dying right here on the scene. Police say they attempted to render aid, but the man essentially succumbed to his injuries. So we have spoken to neighbors all day. They described the sound. They said they heard maybe like 5 or 6 gunshots after that crash, and then they all began congregating on the corner to witness what happened while police taped off the area and were investigating. Police say all of the officers involved in that incident have been placed on administrative leave, which is standard protocol when an officer shoots someone. And this case is now being turned over to the state's Department of Justice. They are investigating this right now. But again, we've spoken to neighbors all day this morning, and they just say they're really shocked about what happened. They say this is typically a quiet area. They say crashes may normally happen, but the shootings, that is something different, and it is something that brought everybody out to the corner to watch here. And again, you can see the fire department out here just cleaning up sort of the remnants of that shooting right now. But we're still out here knocking on more doors, trying to get as much information as we can right now. And once we do have more information, we, of course, will report it to you guys. Go ahead,
What are some of those stories that you've heard from some of the neighbors there? I know on our morning show we heard from this woman who was holding her young son, a young child, in her arms at the time, said, of course, her first thoughts went to her son when that gunfire woke her up overnight. What else have you heard from either that woman or from some of the other neighbors that you have spoken to in that area?
Essentially the same thing. We had just done an interview with another woman maybe about 10 minutes ago, and she says that she heard the crash, and then immediately after that she heard maybe 5 or 6 gunshots, and she said her first thought was to run to her children. She said her son is typically attracted to the flashing lights of police lights, so she said she wanted to make sure her kids were okay, and luckily the kids did not wake up. So she said once that was a sigh of relief, she heard her neighbors just around, even an upstairs neighbor, just rushing to the door. And so she came out, and then it was really just a big spectacle for people to see, just all the flashing lights, police blocking off this area of 17th and Franklin, and a lot of people just worried, wondering what happened. But some folks unfortunately did see the deceased man on the ground, and I'm sure that's an image that they just cannot get out of their heads. They say the whole thing is scary, and they're still trying to wrap their heads around what they saw and heard. Yeah, and that investigation continued well into the daylight hours. We had it live for you here this morning on Fox Local as well. Durante, we'll let you get back to your reporting. I know, just really quickly, I know some people at our station are tracking some of the numbers when it comes to police-involved shootings, specifically to Wisconsin, but also specifically to the Racine Police Department. Anything that you've gathered on that? You've kind of been handling the neighborhood side of it before the rest of the news anchors and reporters handle that side tonight? I've sort of been handling the neighbor side of it, trying to get as much information as I can about what people saw here and heard here. And then afterwards, I'm definitely going to dive into those numbers, and I'll have some of that for you for my live report at 5 o'clock tonight. There you go. We'll let you get back to it. But some interesting numbers and reporting to come from Durante, the rest of our team here at Fox 6, leading up our coverage here on this deadly police shooting in Racine. Thank you very much, Durante. We'll let you get back to it down there in Racine. Thank you so much, Carl. And as Durante gets back to his work there, again, you can look for his full reporting later today on Fox Local, on Fox News at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock, as well as just finding the stories here on Fox Local or on the Fox 6 Milwaukee YouTube channel after that. While he gets back to it, we're going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but a lot more to bring you over the next 50 minutes or so here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I mentioned those possible updates coming to you from the White House, including on the lighter side of things, the announcement we're expecting that Washington, D.C. will be the host site for the NFL draft in 2027, but much more coming out of the White House and from the Trump administration today that we will detail for you as it happens here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Giving you a live look at American Family Field. The roof open there. It looks a little bit better than it did even just moments ago, and certainly this morning when some rain came through the area. But the Houston Astros in town for the first game of a 3-game set tonight. And if we have some time here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, maybe I'll mention the famous local kid who's returning home for the first pitch tonight before he goes on to bigger and better things in the pros. We'll explain that throughout the next 50 minutes or so here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Defmo with you here, 1241, 49 degrees here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But we, of course, cover the news as it happens all across the state of Wisconsin and the country, for that matter, as we want to continue to check on a couple things for you. In fact, I believe this just popped up. Let me do this on the fly for you because this just happened. The President of the United States, along with some administration officials, welcoming the NFL Draft to the nation's capital. Let's pop this up and see if we can listen in to the President right now, here live on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be something that nobody else will ever be able to duplicate that, I don't suspect. It's very exciting. Every year, hundreds of young football players have their dreams come true as the NFL teams across the land, and you just saw that last week. Select the best young players in America to join their ranks. Hundreds of thousands of football fans will travel all across our country to cheer them on in person. We expect, would you say, more than 100,000 people, I think. What is the capacity would you think it can hold? Because the mall can actually hold up to 1 million people if you go all the way back. What do you think?
Over 3 days, we'll be over 1 million.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have a tremendous amount of people. Boosting local businesses and bringing jobs and tourism to the heart of our capital. The draft is a celebration of one of our country's most cherished cultural institutions and the annual highlights for football fans everywhere. Everyone in the world is going to be watching. We look forward to welcoming people from across the nation, from all over the world. Last month, the Washington Commanders and the D.C. government also announced a major deal to build a brand new 65,000-seat football arena at the site of the RFK Stadium in eastern Capitol Hill, and I don't think there is a better site anywhere in the world than that site.
Incredibly exciting.
You know, he's a friend of mine. He's a very successful guy. There's a reason for it. It's amazing. It sat there for years, and people were talking about stadiums in 25 different sites. I said, they're not talking about the best site. That's the best site there is. Bringing professional football back into the district from Maryland. And not only are these announcements great for the NFL, but they also advance the mission of making Washington, D.C. safe and clean and beautiful. And we're working very closely with the mayor, as you know, and we've made a lot of improvements in the last few months, and it's getting to look really strong. Crime is way down, and there's a good relationship we have going with Muriel. So I want to thank you very much. And would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President.
The mayor, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry. Well, greetings. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of the best city in the world and also the sports capital. And we are delighted to be here with the Washington Commanders, the NFL, and the president to talk about this very exciting announcement for Washington, D.C. We believe in investing in sports because they have helped us transform neighborhoods, and the NFL bringing this event to the nation's capital will help us fill hotel rooms, our restaurants, and Americans from all 50 states will come to their nation's capital and enjoy our beautiful city and museum. So we're just delighted to be here, and we want to thank everybody for all the hard work to get here.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. President, thank you. We're honored to be here in the Oval Office, and to have you announce the 2027 NFL Draft is a special treat. So thank you for your support. Also, thank you for your support in the Commanders' new stadium. We agree it's going to be a great site. We think it's going to be great for our fans here, and it's great to come back home. And so we're very excited about that. Josh is leading the way on our behalf, and the mayor, so we thank both of them for that. We also want to thank you because in the first term, you helped us get a Canadian trade deal, which we want to make sure we note again and make sure you know.
Canada does not like me too much. They gave a great American company a lot of money that you deserved, frankly. So
thank you. The draft has really become one of the great entertainment and sports events. Just a week ago in Green Bay, we had over 600,000 people attend. The year before in Detroit, we had close to 800,000. As the president remarked, we believe we'll be well over 1 million when we come here to D.C. in 2027. So We not only believe it's a great site, we believe it's consistent with what the president said, which is investing in our communities, investing specifically here in the nation's capital, one that I grew up here in Washington, D.C., and is particularly important. We think we can have a tremendous impact on this community, and it will not just be an event, it will be something that will show the world how far the nation's capital has come and where it's going. So we're very excited about that. And we thank everybody here. We thank you for your support. We know it's going to be a great event. Mr. President, we thank you again.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck with it.
Yes, thank you. Very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you very much. We wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for your leadership in terms of the stadium, and now, what a great day for Washington. I mean, to host the NFL draft in 2027 on the Mall. I believe we'll get over 1 million people, and it's going to be an amazing day, and it'll showcase what Washington's all about, but it'll also showcase what our country's all about. Washington is the gateway city to our country, and you know, it'll be an amazing day, and we can't wait to get started. And I couldn't have done it without my partners, Roger Goodell, thank you, and Mayor Muriel Bowser. And we're ready to get to work, and I can't imagine RFK coming back. I grew up here. DC used to stop and on Sundays, and everyone would be inside watching football, or everyone would be glued at the stadium. And so we want to bring that back. And football really is as essential to the culture of America. We all love it. We all watch it, and it brings people together. And so what a great way to celebrate the United States of America, the NFL, and the Washington Commanders. And President Trump, we leave on your desk a Trump jersey. You are the ultimate commander, so it is a Commander's jersey. There's no bird on it, but you know, we appreciate you, and thank you for everything you've done, and look forward to the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I have to say that Josh had a very good draft a short while ago. You have a very good quarterback.
You do.
A great quarterback, I think.
Very
Great.
excited about Jaden.
Any questions, please, about the stadium or any of it? Yeah, please. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. About the draft, and I would like to upcome an event that it was already mentioned here, the World Cup. Although United States, the passion here is football. For the World Cup next year, how do you envision, Mr. President, this event here in the United
Well, it'll be
States?
fantastic. I worked very hard to get the World Cup. It was, in fact, I think I have the trophy right here, right behind you. Don't have a picture taken with Roger and that trophy, by the way. But no, they brought it in. Johnny, who's a good guy, but he brought that in. That's the actual trophy. It's interesting that you asked that. And it's made at Tiffany's, and they're leaving it here until just before the actual World Cup. Then it goes to the champion. But that's very exciting. We have the Olympics. So we have both of them. I worked very hard in getting both, and I said, you know, I'm not going to be able to be there as president. And then a strange thing happened, and it turned out I became president not for the term that I was supposed to be. I became president. Well, we have the Olympics and the World Cup, and we have something that maybe surpasses everything, the 250th anniversary of our country. So that's going to be great. That's going to be a very big event, a year-long event. So thank you for the question. Very nice question. Yeah, please.
So you've often said you want U.S. to be bigger, better, and stronger. Currently, Russia is the biggest country in the world by landmass, followed by Canada and then China. So when you say that you want to annex Canada, is it so that it would be the biggest country in the world?
No, I never even thought of it that way, although I am a real estate developer at heart. I've never heard that question. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you have to hire more security and police in order to accommodate the 1 million people coming in for the NFL draft?
I think that there'll be something, and I know Roger will work it out, and Josh and all of us will work it out. It's such an honor to have that. I think it'll be great for everybody, great for our country. It'll be something very special. There's no scene like it. There's no site like it. My whole life was based on sites, locations, and as soon as I looked at that rendering, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to really be beautiful. You know, interestingly, I didn't know exactly where it's set relative to the Capitol. But the stadium, if you go back, is right behind the Capitol, miles behind, but nevertheless visually right behind it. So it's going to be an architect's dream, whoever the architect is chosen, and the owner. It's going to be something special. I think it's going to be great for the area. Going to be, it will be top of the line. I know these people very well, and they only know about top of the line. And I would say that more will be put into the stadium than would be put into a identical stadium of a similar size. I think they're going to do a special, because of the importance of the location. I have no doubt they'll do a special job. Yeah, please.
Can you explain a little bit about how you would implement tariffs on the film industry, kind of how that would work?
Well, that's a different story, but our film industry has been decimated by other countries taking them out, and also by incompetence, like in Los Angeles. The governor is a grossly incompetent man. He's just allowed it to be taken away from, Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't do very much of that business. They have the nice sign and everything's good, but they don't do very much. A lot of it's been taken to other countries, and a big proportion. And I'm actually going to meet with some because, there's some advantages, I guess, and I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry. But they're given financing by other countries. They're given a lot of things, and the industry was decimated. If you look at how little is done in this country now, you think we were the ones. We used to do 100, not long ago, 100%. Now we do almost like very little. It's shocking. Are you in that business too? Because he's in so many businesses. You could explain it, but it's not a good situation. So we're going to meet with the industry. I want to make sure they're happy with it because we're all about jobs. That's all what it's very important. It's a big industry, but it's an industry now that's it's really left. It's abandoned the USA where it started, and we'll get it back. Yeah, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. First, I just want to thank you for letting us in here. I'm with Zero Hedge, and the last administration banned us on social media, so we're really grateful to be in the White House. And this is not exactly sports related, but I've been dying to ask you this question for a long time, which is that 2.5 years ago, the Nord Stream pipeline blew up. Yeah. And despite what people like John Brennan and all the hawks said, you were one person who said Russia probably did not blow up its own pipeline.
If you can believe, they said Russia blew it up, yeah.
And so I'm wondering, now that you're president, if you would consider launching a formal investigation into what happened there and who actually did blow it up.
Well, probably if I asked certain people, I'd be able to tell you without having to waste a lot of money on an investigation. But I think a lot of people know who blew it up. But I was the one that blew it up originally because I wouldn't let it be built. And then when Biden got in, he allowed it to be built. And it's very interesting. But I think Russia, with the price of oil right now, oil's gone down, I think we're in a good position to settle. They want to settle. Ukraine wants to settle. If I weren't president, nobody would be settling. They're losing 5,000 people a day. Think of it. Here we talk about football. They're losing 5,000 people on average a week, mostly Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers, 5,000 a week, not including people that are, killed as missiles go into areas that they shouldn't be. It's a very terrible thing, and I think we've come a long way, and it could be something will happen, but hopefully it will. As you know, President Putin just announced a 3-day ceasefire, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot if you knew where we started from, because they were not. We had a president that for 3 years didn't speak to Putin, and it all shouldn't have happened. This is a war that should have never happened, and you're going to be very disappointed when you find out the real number of people that were killed. It's far greater, many times greater, I believe, but far greater than the numbers that you're putting out. It's a very, very deadly, horrible war. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to. To the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.
My question, though, sir, was about the fact that it was put out on the White House account. Even though it was AI generated, it was a joke, it was a meme. Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular channel?
Give me a break. It was just somebody did it in fun. It's fine. Have to have a little fun, don't you? Yeah, please, go ahead.
Tell me about the program that's just been introduced to give undocumented immigrants living in the United States
About me?
$1,000 to self-deport. Can you just tell us a little bit?
Oh, the new program, yeah. We have millions of people that have come into this country illegally through an administration that didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have a clue. And now we find out officially they didn't because the president was incompetent, but I could have told you that before. And they've allowed millions and millions of people to pour in. Murderers, drug dealers, the biggest drug dealers in the world, actually, terrorists come in, emptied prisons from many countries, not just South America, all over the world. They emptied their prisons into our beautiful USA. And to get that many people out, 21 million people we think the real number is, but let's say 3 million of them are serious criminals. 11,888 murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. It's hard to believe we have to even talk about this when we're talking about something so beautiful, but it's something we have to talk about having to do with the country because it's very important. So they came in by the millions illegally into our country. They just flowed in through an open border policy that was insane. And what we've done is we've offered, you know the numbers, but because we're taking them out by the thousands, we're being obstructed. It's very unfair what's happening because the court system it's very unfair. We have to get them out fast. These are bad people. These are people that are killing, and they've already killed many people in this country. Illegal immigrants that came in illegally through an open border policy, which is insane. We talk about common sense. That's not common sense. And they came in from the Congo, all over Africa, all over Asia, all over South America, parts of Europe. They flowed in and just walked right into our country. We had no idea who they were. 21 million at least. That's probably a low number. You hear lower numbers than that. It's not. That's a low number. But many are really serious criminals and terrorists and people from jails. They emptied out jails. Venezuela, their crime is down 72% because they took all the criminals off the streets and the gangs and they dumped them into our country. So we're getting them out. It's a very difficult thing with the courts because the courts have all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they said, maybe you have to have trials. We're going to have 5 million trials. Doesn't work. You wouldn't have a country left. But hopefully the Supreme Court will save it. But what they've done is a very, very serious thing. Past presidents took out hundreds of thousands of people when needed. You look at Eisenhower, you look at many of them, and they took people out and they didn't go through any of this. But what we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people, if they're the kind of people that we want in our company, industrious people that could love our country. And if they're not, they won't. But it will give them a path to becoming, to coming back into the country. If they miss that limit, they're going to be taken out of our country, and they will never get a path to come back in, and it'll be a much tougher process. And it's called self-deportation. And by doing that, you're talking about so many millions of people. By doing that, we've taken out thousands of terrorists, drug lords. What we've done is amazing, and I'm sure Tom Homan and Christy Noem have done an incredible job. They really have done an incredible job, but it's a hard job. So we're going to have a self-deportation where they deport themselves out of our country, and we'll work with them, and we're going to try, and if we think they're good, if they have the people we want in our country, they're going to come back into our country. We'll give them a little easier route. But if they don't work, and if we take them out after the date, then they're never coming back. And that's the least of the problems that they're going to have. Yeah, please.
What's your expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We were losing think of it, on our trade policies with Biden. We're losing $5 billion a day. I think Josh, as a great businessman, would not let that happen too long, right? How many groups could lose $5 billion a day? If you lose $5 billion one day, that's the end of that company, right? You're fired. He says, you're fired. Get out of here. So we essentially did that, and we have it down to a very low number. We're doing really well, really well. Yeah.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making, and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay, are you guys okay? I want to just say that it's such an honor to be up here with my friends, because this is a group of people that have done an amazing job, and all we can do, Muriel and I, is give them the greatest sight there is, I think, that I've ever seen for something like this. And I did very well in the real estate business. I think this is the greatest site there is anywhere in the world for exactly what you guys are doing. And we'll work with you. We've got a lot of work to do to get it going, but we'll work with you, and we'll try and make the dream come true. And I want to thank you all very much for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
As you're watching the end of what started as a sports announcement leads into much else, of course, with reporters in the room able to ask the President of the United States some questions there. Before we get back to the NFL draft aspect of this, the reason they were in the room in the first place, interesting to note who was back off camera to the right. As we were watching to the right of President Trump there, that was the mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, who received first name recognition from the president a series of times. They have been at odds. That was a rare moment that the Democratic mayor and the Republican president were seen aligned on topics. In fact, they've gone back and forth with each other over a number of things. President Trump saying that the federal government should take over Washington, D.C. Because it's unsafe. That's something he stated before, and they've been at odds over a number of things, but in agreement over this effort to bring the NFL draft to Washington, D.C., as was announced at the beginning of that press conference. Let's have some fun as we show you a live picture at where the NFL draft just was here in Wisconsin. This is the Wisconsin Live Desk, of course. The announcement coming just a few weeks after Green Bay and Lambeau Field there, the Green Bay Packers hosting the NFL draft in the league's smallest market. It was a resounding success, smashing attendance records. At least attendance expectations, I should say, as the NFL announced a crowd of 600,000 fans were in Titletown for those 3 days of the NFL draft. Now we can give you a couple live shots from Washington, D.C., which will host the 2027 NFL draft. Pittsburgh has the honors next year, but it will be right outside of that U.S. Capitol building in our nation's capital on the National Mall. And some of the numbers that both the president and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell just stated there, they expect 1 million people, more than that, in fact, to be on that National Mall behind the White House as we give you a live look where that announcement just happened inside the Oval Office. Expecting more than 1 million people to attend and flock to the National Mall in 2027 for the NFL draft, as the Washington Commanders will be the host team after the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. It continues to be a series of wins for the Commanders, who were plagued by a series of issues over the years under the previous owner, Dan Snyder, but continued big announcements coming in the first few years now of the new owner, Josh Harris, who took over and bought the Commanders from Dan Snyder in 2023. They had just announced a massive multi-billion-dollar investment to build a new stadium on the site of the old stadium for the Commanders, RFK Stadium. So that will be a new stadium coming to D.C. for the Washington Commanders and the NFL draft for what the league, according to Roger Goodell and the expectations you just heard from President Trump there, expect to be a record-setting NFL draft 2 years from now. Detroit last year had the previous record, around 750,000 people attending the draft in 2024 in Motown. Green Bay did great for expectations, 600,000 more than that in Titletown for the 3 days that we just saw at the end of April there. But in Washington, D.C., they are expecting more than 1 million when the NFL draft comes there in 2027. All right, that is your roundup of all things NFL, even in the offseason. They continue to be the dominant sport, certainly in this country and in Wisconsin, where the Green Bay Packers reign supreme. We're going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll see what we find on the other side of this break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, Harold Liffenbaugh here, hanging out with you 1:10 on this Monday afternoon inside the Wisconsin Live Desk. From this studio, we can bring you the news as it happens, including what you just watched, the NFL Draft going to Washington in 2027 after if it was just in Green Bay, goes to Pittsburgh next year, and then the Commanders, as expected from some sources reporting in the days leading up to this, will be the host team for the NFL Draft in 2027. And we want to tell you some of the other news happening right now as we'll take you back live. I mentioned this courtroom in New York City where today the jury selection has begun in the trial against Sean Diddy Combs, the rapper, the hip-hop mogul who has now had his incredibly successful career completely derailed by sex trafficking charges and much more that have led to this federal lawsuit and trial against Diddy. The jury selection happening inside of that courtroom today, and they are expecting that the jury selection could last several days. So starting today, but a series of days ahead before opening statements from both sides in this trial are expected next week. To get you up to speed on what has happened inside the trial, several dozen prospective jurors all got brief descriptions of some of the different sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges that Combs faces from the judge today. The judge also reminding the prospective jurors that Combs has pleaded not guilty, as his is right. He is presumed innocent in this country until proven guilty. And as the judge spoke, we also got our look at Combs, who was sitting with his lawyers inside of that courtroom wearing a sweater over a white-collared shirt with gray slacks. The judge had allowed those regular clothes as opposed to jail clothing. Combs has actually been in a federal lockup in Brooklyn since his arrest last September, so he has been in that Brooklyn prison ever since. His hair and his goatee noticeably fully gray. That's because dyes are not allowed inside of that Brooklyn jail. So both his hair and goatee, unlike what we're used to seeing, are fully gray after those many months inside of a Brooklyn jail. Now, unlike a number of other high-profile celebrity trials, why are we only seeing a feed from outside of this courthouse right now, a live look in New York City, not from inside? Well, Combs' case will not be broadcast live. That's because federal courtrooms do not allow electronic recordings inside. So all we will see from inside will be the work of courtroom sketch artists who are kind of like the public's eyes inside of the courtroom and then reporting on what happens throughout the coming days. This trial is going to be a long one, too, expected to last at least 8 weeks. And if convicted, Sean Combs could face the possibility of decades in prison. And Combs is age 55 right now, facing potentially decades in prison on these both sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Now, several of the jurors already today had indicated they had seen news reports featuring key pieces of evidence. That would be video of Combs hitting and kicking one of his accusers in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. That dates back to 2016. And one of the prospective jurors described a still image that she had seen as, quote, damning evidence. That woman was rejected from consideration. Of course, Combs has his right to a fair trial from his peers inside of that jury room. After another juror was dismissed, Combs asked for a bathroom break, telling the judge, "I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm a little nervous today." All of that, just some of the details coming out of day one of what is expected to be a weeks-long series of proceedings inside of this New York courtroom, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs on sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges. Jury selection continues throughout the day today and for the days to come, and then the opening statements expected from lawyers next week in New York City. You can see it's a bit rainy out there as well. We are going to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk because we want to get you set up for something else that we're following here locally in Wisconsin. That would be the, let's just say, continued saga of the boat that won't go away. That would be the abandoned boat on the shores of Lake Michigan here in Milwaukee. We're going to get a report from the scene because that boat is still there. Months after it was stuck, weeks after salvage efforts resumed this spring, it is still there. Tomorrow, hopefully the day where some progress is made, but we'll detail that for you with our reporter on the scene covering this for us today, Abriel Preciado. That's on the other side of this break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh with you on this Monday afternoon, 1:18. We just have about 12 minutes left, but some important stories to get to here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And perhaps not necessarily on the important side, but the interest side, no story has captured the city quite like this. The boat that just won't go away. Deep Thought is this boat that was abandoned along the Milwaukee shoreline between McKinley and Bradford beaches and is still there months after it first ran aground back in October. Let's get out to our reporter on the scene for us today. All in all, not a bad assignment for Abril Preciado, who joins us just next to that boat there along the lakefront. It was raining earlier. It looks like you guys got some clear weather finally, Abril. But take it away. Let's see the boat. Let's hear about it, because this has been the talk of the town going back to the fall.
You know, just as you mentioned earlier, Carl, the saga is continuing and it looks like it's coming close to an end. I mean, just right now we were out here, and during our time out here, I believe we got here closer to maybe 11 o'clock, 11:30. We've been seeing a lot of people just come out here and take one last glimpse and look at the boat, go down crawling these rocks, just to take a picture of the boat that has since caught a lot of attention from people, as you just explained. And as we have been seeing, just look right now, there's somebody on the boat right now, as we can see. They're holding it looks like a board with some type of message. Can't read the message from this far away from me, but yes, this is pretty much, it has been the talk of town regarding it. And as we know, the boat will be removed tomorrow. We were able to connect with Supervisor Sheldon Wasserman earlier today, who pretty much told us how the plan for tomorrow. They will be closing Lincoln Memorial, and then a couple of other streets will also be impacted. Let me pull up some of the streets right now. I don't have them on top of my head, but actually here they are. So pretty much all Lincoln Memorial Drive will be closed, and it will be between Lafayette Hill Road and Eastwater Tower Road. So for people that are used to commuting in those areas and in those streets, they should plan to reroute their commute to other areas, or get up earlier, I should say, to avoid this area, because it will be closed from 4 p.m. from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tomorrow. And we actually were also able to speak to some people that were coming out here for the first time just to see the boat. And those students that are UWM students were saying that, yeah, that's gonna mean for them that they may have to wake up a lot earlier tomorrow just to take the longer road to get to school. So those are just some of the reactions that we're also getting. We also had the pleasure to also speak to 3 people that were actually came out here to Milwaukee for the first time. And they so happen to be out here on the lake, and they came across the boat. They tell us that they're from Boston and from New York, and this is their first time out here, and they were just as surprised as anyone else just to come across the boat. They thought it was quite fascinating to see just the excitement and just seeing people coming out here and taking pictures of it, that they themselves also took a picture of it as well. And so that's pretty much what we have been seeing. I mean, just you know, it seems a little calm right now, but like it comes like in little portions of it. Like right now, we're seeing like a couple of people here staring it from afar. There's other people that are climbing it. And that's pretty much what we have been seeing now all day. And really, like, any time that any of our crews have been out here covering this boat, because obviously it's been something that has been out here, as we know, since October. So it's definitely grabbing lots of attention.
It certainly is. It looks like the only person not interested was that small dog that your photojournalist was zoomed in on. Everyone else staring at the boat there, including that one gentleman. We might have to let you go so you can go and get an interview with him. It looked like he was taking a piece of memorabilia off the boat, made his leap successful after getting a selfie on the boat there. But yeah, that is just a sign of the interest. And I guess for those travelers from Boston, I believe you said, great, their number one memory of Milwaukee is going to be this graffitied abandoned boat along the lakefront. Let me ask you this, Abril, because as it pertains to some of the closures tomorrow, that speaks to kind of this next phase of the story. There were attempts a couple weeks ago to remove the boat from a company that was working actually from the lake, from the water, dredging out some of the water and the sand and hoping to haul it away actually on the water. The reason for the closures tomorrow is because they're actually working with a new company trying a new approach, which will come from the land with tows and cranes and things like that. So what is the thought process behind that and why they think that might be more successful in finally getting this thing out of here in ways that the previous attempts were not?
So from what Supervisor Wasserman was telling us is that they will be bringing in 3 cranes to bring out the vessel, bring out the boat from the water, well, from the lake, really, and that's pretty much their approach. He says that this is Plan B, and he hopes this is the plan that ends up being successful, so they won't have to go into Plan C, which is still in the works. But obviously, this is their next approach to get the boat out. He says that the main reason why he's making it a huge priority to get it out of here is because, as we can see, many people are climbing, going on there just to go snap a picture or get closer to the boat and get a look at the boat. We still keep seeing more people coming out here, and obviously that's very dangerous. That's why I am not on there climbing on the boat, and why I'm not live on the actual like rocky area surface, because it is dangerous. I'm afraid I'm gonna fall. So he was actually telling me that some people have actually dropped their phones within the little cracks that are within the rocks. Some people have dropped their phones, so you know that could pose safety hazards right there as well. We have also seen a couple of kids even climb it as well with their parents, and that's also pretty dangerous. So that's why he was saying that it's very important, and why the county is really pushing to get it out hopefully by tomorrow. So just to keep people safe. They don't want another reason or a reason to have anyone get hurt or injured during this as well.
Yeah, it's good to see that gentleman made it back onto the rocks safely from the boat. Abril, we'll let you go, so maybe you can track him down, because honestly, it looked like he was taking a little piece of memorabilia from what has become the talking point, probably the most photographed thing in Milwaukee over the last few months, is that boat behind you. Also a little bit of an eyesore, as the graffiti has been adding to it over the months as well. May we just say as well, an amazing debut here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, Abril. What a story, and what a way you were able to bring it to us. So great to have you here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We'll let Abril get back to her work there along the Milwaukee lakefront, the story that will not end here in our city at least, and that would be Deep Thought, the abandoned boat that ran aground. The owners have basically walked away from all responsibility, and now it is up to Milwaukee County, along with some anonymous donors, to actually pay for and handle the removal after those attempts a couple weeks ago to try to get it done from the lakeside. Tomorrow, as Abril said, there will be closures along Lincoln Memorial Drive, both directions between Lafayette Road and East Water Tower Road, from 8 in the morning to about 4 p.m. to try to finally use some cranes and other equipment to get that boat out of here. Hey, I think we know what we'll be bringing you live on the Wisconsin Live Desk tomorrow afternoon. I might have an inkling or two about that. Not that I can project the future or anything. We're going to take a short break here on the Live Desk. We'll see what we find on the other side, though it probably won't be as captivating, as entertaining as that abandoned boat along the Milwaukee lakefront. Let's see what we find after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, Carl Defenbaugh here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Just a couple minutes to go here on today's program, but we wanted to take you quickly out to City Hall. We're not going to catch this press conference as you see our photographer getting some of the crowd gathered outside of City Hall right now. This is actually scheduled to start just after 1:30, so right after we go off air here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. But what it is a press conference plan with the mayor of Milwaukee, Cavalier Johnson, well as construction workers that you're seeing there, all about a new hotel proposed for the Deer District, that site around Fiserv Forum that has just exploded since the arena went up almost 10 years ago now. A series of developments, including a concert venue, other hotels that have gone in or in the works right now, and this will be the latest hotel that is supposedly going in to the Deer District site. You can catch more information on this, and we'll be streaming it on our Fox 6 Milwaukee YouTube channel if you want to check that out, and I'm sure we'll have it on Fox Local for you as well as news once our newscasts begin later today, Fox 6 News at 4, 5, and 6. But as we get ready to wrap things up here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, of course, we got to do a quick whip around back up to Titletown, where Green Bay had its successful run of the NFL Draft. Now it's looking ahead to Washington, D.C. We brought you the live announcement that they will host on the National Mall, expecting more than 1 million people in 2027. And hey, it's still baseball season here in Milwaukee. The roof opened at American Family Field, and Con Knippel, after his run with the Duke Blue Devils, one successful season on the way to the Final Four, now to the NBA, he's throwing out the first pitch tonight. Thanks.
Troy expressing that his dad didn't love him and his dad wouldn't talk to him, even after Troy went to see him in the hospital. Is that right, that he never felt love from him?
That's correct.
Did you ask Troy why he thought his father didn't love him?
Well, he mentioned that he believed that his mother getting pregnant with him